welcome to the show.
Hi, hello everybody.
Hello, hello. For those, I think everyone knows Huobi, but maybe for those who aren't quite familiar with their story, can you kind of start with a little background on yourself, how you got into the position you're in now?
Yeah, sure. So I did my undergrad in the States. We was Indiana University in finance and accounting, and then I joined Ernst & Young doing like transactional service, taxation, and then got my MBA in financial analysis, and then joined Boston Consulting Group doing management consulting for financial services offices. So I spent years advising banking, capital market groups for major banks, hedge funds, PE firms, and investment corporations. So, traditional finance services is an industry I understand well, but because I understood the space, I knew there were limitations. So traditional finance is rooted in very old practices and biases, some of which may have created a financial ecosystem that isn't always inclusive. So there are a lot of, inefficiency and challenges that exist in traditional finance. So when I, got to know about blockchain and crypto, it's just really fascinating. So I eventually decided to take the move and joined crypto space. So having worked with some of the top financial institutions before, I just really wanted to join a company that not only had the vision and the ability to innovate the finance industry, but also, the infrastructure to scale globally, like the companies I worked before. So, Huobi as a company that's been around for, many years, recently we just had our seventh birthday. It's
Right.
kind of like ancient already in blockchain, and with the company, yeah, that's with 1,600 people, I felt like that should be the right move for my career. So yeah, so I joined Huobi and worked as a vice president, head of business development and global markets, and also managed institutional business.
Awesome. And so 7 years. And so 2020, can you kind of give a brief overview of the Huobi business now, geographically where it operates, and some of the business lines, I guess overall, but then I guess also what kind of you're over there?
Yeah. So Huobi has been growing as an organization at a very rapid pace, and we're just now, as I said before, celebrating our 7th anniversary, and not only have us expanded into dozens of markets and with more than 15 million users right now in about 220 different countries. We're proud to say that we haven't had any major security incidents since the company's inception. So both our spot exchange and derivatives exchange top the market in terms of liquidity, market apps, compliance, security, and also fund under management. So all of these key factors that define a safe and sustainable trading environment. And we operate localized and regulated exchange all over the world, both directly and through trusted local partners like joint venture exchanges through Huobi Cloud. And we operate in full compliance with all of these necessary licenses for each jurisdiction, such as Huobi Japan, where we have the FSA license, and Thailand, Gibraltar, and so on. So most people probably know Huobi as a global crypto exchange, but that's actually just one business unit within the parent company, Huobi Group. And Huobi Group consists of over 18 individual entities and business unit that each provides its own crypto or blockchain related products or services. So Huobi Global is our main spot exchange. Is one example of an entity that allows into the larger Huobi Group entity, and also include Huobi Futures. It's recently branded last year, and our derivatives, that's our derivatives exchange, and Huobi Pool, our mining pool. Cloud, as I said before, is a cloud services platform where we have joint venture exchanges with local partners, and Huobi Wallet, which we are recently upgrading it, to better to be a better entry point for DeFi users and much more. So today we are a global company with products and services in many different markets. Like I said before, Thailand, Russia, Argentina, Turkey, Japan, South Korea, UK, and much, much more. A big part of driving crypto adoption is making it more accessible to all types of users across different markets. So we take a product-driven approach to empower users on our platform. As of today, Huobi ranks first among top exchanges regarding aggregate funds deposited. So also you can also say is asset under management. So according to a popular data provider, Bituniverse. So user capital deposit on Huobi recorded at 5.73 billion US dollars. It accounts for over 5% of the entire digital asset market cap. So nothing that this is only our users' assets. It doesn't count assets that Huobi Group itself owns. And the deposit of funds is the least feasible and it's the most meaningful indicator, because exchange is not like a wallet. People deposit it into your exchange only for trading, not like trading volume is just I think it's a factor that can be manipulated sometimes, because if you just give zero fee accounts, well, if you give zero fee accounts to high frequency trader, you can get as many volume as you got. That's probably the reason like CMC or CoinMarketCap, they started to rank exchanges by different metrics, not just trading volume, because you see if you just see trading volume rankings, you see Huobi or like Coinbase or Binance, those large exchanges actually rank like really low, like maybe 200 and stuff, and you see names that you've never heard of. So that's but like like funds deposited, it's just something that you can't fake. So Huobi has a global occurrence and has opened a dozen fiat gateways right now. We just recently had US dollars. That we've got really a dozen different fiat gateways and licenses, including Gibraltar, Thailand, Japan, and we recently in Q4 we'll cooperate with more third parties to open additional fiat gateways to make our services more accessible to our users worldwide. And at the moment, we're working with Simplex, is a payment solution provider to allow users to purchase crypto with fiat. So we just found, this is a very interesting function to have, where you have users coming into traditional market into crypto. The first thing they would want to know is, how do I buy crypto with my fiat currency? So that's why we've been working on this and putting in a lot of resources, energies to build fiat gateway across the world to enable new users into crypto to provide them with the seamless trading experiences. So Huobi will announce 3 more payment solution partners in the following months to expand our channels to allow users worldwide to purchase crypto with their local fiat currency and experience more professional financial services at Huobi. And we also offer a wide range of products and services to cater to all kinds of users. So from stable saving products with sustainable interest rates to lending products, derivative trading like perpetual swaps that we launched in March. And also we launched our options trading in September. And we're also launching our USDT margin perpetual swap next month in October. So we're just trying to offer a full set of trading related and crypto related products to all of our users worldwide.
All right, a lot of stuff there. So you'll have your hands in pretty much all the buckets. Interesting stats there on user deposits and the fiat gateways that you have around the world. So as head of global business development, managing all of this, keeping it all on your mind is a task, and then just setting the strategy and implementation of all these priorities around the world. It's a lot to be over. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about that priority set, maybe product wise and geographically, kind of how you're thinking about it right now in 2020?
Yeah, so, as Vice President for Global Markets, my role is really cross-functional. I work across many different business units with one key objective: to expand Huobi's reach internationally, which, includes new products, market penetration, strategic partnerships, branding, marketing, and many other functions. And I lead several teams specifically to focus on international markets. And we, as we mentioned before, is a sizable organization with more than 1,600 employees. So the corporate structure will require more in-depth conversation to understand, but I'm happy with, to share a more, high-level overview here with the audience. As mentioned previously, Huobi isn't just exchange. So there are many entities and business units that roll up into Huobi ecosystem. Well, there are a lot of layers to Huobi. Our structure isn't as, rigid as a legacy organization. So cross-department collaboration is pretty high, and we're all working toward a similar goal. And our latest vision is to empower 100 million households worldwide to own cryptocurrencies. So this kind of structure and our diverse ecosystem products and services lends well to our ambitious goal. So when we enter new markets and launch new products, we first, look to gain a strong understanding of the regulation landscape. As we said before, every country we go to, we try to be fully compliant to offer that kind of, safety feeling to all of the users that we're approaching to. So as a company, we provide ourselves providing a safe and secure environment for our users. So compliance is just one of our top priorities, and also safety. So it doesn't matter if the market size is large, if we can't safely offer our services to users. So we prioritize the markets where we can receive the proper licenses and approvals to operate legally. So that's why we've been working, putting in lots of resources into Japan, where they were issuing the licenses, and that's how we became one of the first bunch of exchanges that got the license in Japan, and where Huobi token HT is now a fully regulated token in Japan, where Japanese customers can now buy HT with their fiat in Japanese yen. And another factor we look at is impact. So how much impact will we have on the local market? For example, there are many parts of the world where people are still, unbanked, or living in a very volatile economy system, especially in regions where, turmoil creates currency devaluation risk, and we want to identify and reach users where access to digital assets will make a meaningful change to their lives. So typically, this is in emerging markets with economies that are still developing. So take Turkey as an example. Turkey is a great market for cryptocurrency because their fiat currency is really, really volatile, and that's why just citizens there in Turkey, they seek for other type of investment opportunities for them to in their portfolio, so that they feel like they can they can fight with the volatility in their local currency. So we took a few trips to Turkey, and we saw that, and we saw the needs, and that's why we decided to do Huobi Turkey and opened bank accounts and setting up the fiat gateway and make it all through our product, so that users can now access to crypto easily in Turkey. And beyond that, we prioritize our product launches based on a combination of market opportunity and timing. So as you know, this industry changes fast, so we need to make sure that we can test, launch, and integrate our products at a pace that allows us to adapt to the evolving needs of our users.
All right. I think I remember y'all doing a big conference in Turkey right before the pandemic stuff. Were you there for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I was there.
I was under you. All right, cool. So you kind of touched on specifically the licensing in Japan piece. Any other thoughts on kind of regulatory structure around the world, what you're seeing kind of trends wise, and how you're handling, I guess, the differences?
Yeah, so when it comes to licenses, every country have different, natures and different rules. So which is partly because it can involve a host of different agencies and regulatory bodies. So more often than not, there is yearly involvement by local SEC as well as other financial agencies that oversees the process. They all have varying levels of due diligence and requirements. So it's not as simple as classifying the process between markets, say like the East versus the West. one thing that's common is that all regulators look to access and exchange security, liquidity, and track record as a starting point. So it's incredibly important for them to know that exchange in question have enough market depths to provide liquidity. And also that exchange is not easily hacked or manipulated. So there are areas of strength for Huobi, so we don't typically encounter any issues here. And many countries place a limit on the number of licenses issued within a given time period. So, and that's why, like I said, in Japan, we just went there and we started very early, and that's how we were able to become the first bunch of exchanges who got that. And another good example is the BitLicense in New York. So we also see some biases towards the domestic exchanges. So it adds to the complexity of the license process. But what we do see is that crypto adoption is accelerating at a rapid pace, and more nation states and regulators throughout the world are embracing digital assets as a necessary and legitimate asset class within the broader financial ecosystem. Crypto has become much less taboo than it was years ago. In 2016, 2017. So I still take Japan as an example. It took the country years to clearly define its crypto asset regulations. And they're known to have one of the most strict requirements for crypto exchanges and assets, but much progress has been made last year and this year. Just this past May, Japan's FSA, their regulation agency, now oversees crypto assets, has enacted new regulations to further legitimize compliant crypto exchange and assets. So that's how we've been operating the localized exchange Huobi Japan, and now is licensed since 2018, and will continue to work with regulators to ensure the full compliance with local requirements. And there is a common misconception among newer retail investors that regulation is bad, but it's actually quite the opposite. We know that regulation, when guided the right way, can help drive crypto adoption and create a safer ecosystem for users. It's very important for traditional institutions to see that it's regulated and it's safe. They know that the government behind it is backing their assets, and this is why we choose to work closely with regulators in every market we enter. We also know that in order for crypto market to expand, we need the buy-in of institutional investors and traders. Typically means ensuring they have a fully regulated trading environment, as they have more strict compliance requirement than retail users. So that's just very important. And as we see that regulations and compliance have been evolving so much from last year and this year, it kind of shows on the data of institutional trading volume as well. So before the beginning of 2019, we saw this trend and this just opportunity that institutions of traditional markets are entering into the place. So we decided to set this new business unit called Institutional BU at Huobi, and we recruit a group of traditional financial experts with years of intensive years of experiences in the traditional finance industry, so that they can tailor the products and provide professional services to those institutional investors. And in the beginning of 2019, institutional trading volume was only about 17% of Huobi Global, and now is about 50% of Huobi Global's trading volume. That's just how much it has grown.
Yeah, can you define institutional a little bit there? Is that it includes like crypto hedge funds and more traditional funds? How do you define that when you're tracking those stats?
Yeah, so on Huobi, institutional investor means that they open up their accounts under institutions, so it's not retail, and we don't divide whether it's a crypto fund or it from traditional, because a lot of the crypto funds still is funded by traditional traders.
Sure, cool, yeah. Good stuff. Good overview, and then I guess you've kind of touched on why you're in Japan early, kind of the strategy around that. You touched on Turkey. What other, how else are you thinking kind of geographically about Huobi expansion? Maybe markets that, you could be weak in right now and you're trying to grow, the biggest opportunities that you see. kind of lay that out, how you're thinking about geographic expansion still, even though you're already in 210 countries.
Yeah, so for reasons stated earlier, like our desire to have an impact in the market we enter, we see a lot of opportunity in emerging markets. That doesn't mean that we're not also focusing on larger markets in the West, but just that emerging markets are a more immediate priority for the business. So impact aside, another reason we're bullishing on emerging market is because it puts us in a strategic position to grow with the market. If we can enter a market early enough, we're confident that we'll see, just explosive growth as the local market matures over the next 5, 10, 15 years. This is a long-term strategy for Huobi, and we also see opportunity to become a fundamental part of the financial ecosystem of these markets, because they don't have the most robust financial infrastructure, and we have the opportunity to help define their future economy, and one in which digital assets play a central role. And I'd like it to the adoption of the internet, but is a lot like the emerging market that skipped desktop and went straight into mobile, just like how these nations became mobile first, and we're trying to see the markets that we believe have the potential to embrace digital first currencies.
Yeah, for sure. Emerging markets. Any more color on kind of geographic market wise, kind of nuances you see between countries, emerging markets versus kind of the West, as you mentioned? Any other color on that kind of customer differences?
Yeah, so again, taking less about geographically and more about the market stage, we see slightly higher demand for speculative products like crypto derivatives in more developed markets.
Mm-hmm.
So these users are looking for ways to create arbitrage and hedge risks much more actively, and they likely have had more exposure to other investment products and financial services, and they're just more educated that way. So they're a bit more more like a trader, and they're motivated by gains and love products like our perpetual swaps, Bitcoin option, futures. So on the other hand, users in emerging markets have less experiences with financial products, and many are unbanked, meaning that they may not even maintain a traditional bank account. So these users are especially interested in products like our crypto saving account, which just lets them earn stable interest with little risk, just a few clicks, and they don't even have to, learn how comprehensive the system is, and they just have the option to easily enter into cryptocurrency, and they also play the market, so not as aggressively as the others in more developed markets.
Yeah, makes sense. And those interest-bearing products, how many stable coins are you offering interest products for now?
Hello? Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
How many stable coin interest products do y'all have now in the repertoire?
Oh, yeah, I have to check. We've been rolling out a few more products recently, but I have to check on that specifically.
Cool. And then so you start out with kind of an institutional focus, I think it will be institutional role. And you talked a little bit earlier about kind of some of the growth you've seen in terms of the percentage of volume that will be from 2019 to now. I think you mentioned 50% now. Can you talk a little bit more how you have kind of continued to focus on that institutional customer segment and kind of the ways that you're attacking it? You mentioned rolling out these derivatives products. Maybe expand a little bit on kind of Huobi's institutional focus.
Yeah. So institutional investors are most concerned with security, liquidity, product diversity. So we're already well positioned to capture an increasing share of the market as more institutional coming into the crypto market. So one of the ways in which we are catered to institutional markets by launching more trading products like perpetual swaps, like Bitcoin options on derivative exchange Huobi futures, because institutional traders are more experienced than retail traders, and they look for a variety of trading products to create arbitrage. So this has helped us to gain more traction with that customer segment. So for example, we only recently launched our own perpetual swap product in March, but it has been a instant success, keeping up with and sometimes outperforming BMAX, one of the leaders in this space. And in first full quarter, Huobi's perpetual swap trading volume came at about 21 billion in April, but rocket top to 79.5 billion in the next month, falling just short of BMAX trading volume. Then in June, we overtook BMAX with a total of 50.2 billion US dollars. And institutional trading volume on Huobi has grown 60% compared to 2019, and now accounts for, like we said before, about 50% of the total trading volume. And I think the reason behind it is first the products, and secondly is our services.
All right, yeah. Any other thoughts on kind of trends you're seeing across those products? Very interesting on the institutional side. Any other trends you're seeing kind of across products as we kind of enter what everyone's saying is this next bull run here?
Yeah, so talking about trends, we just can't avoid DeFi. With the recent DeFi craze, users are diversifying their portfolios with newer tokens, and Bitcoin and Ethereum will account for a significant share of crypto trading volume. But there has been more altcoins activity in recent months. We're also seeing more demand for DeFi exposure. So in response, we've added a wider variety of highly debated digital assets and investing into building the digital asset ecosystem. So for example, Huobi has different listing channels, and we have been really careful in selecting the right asset through the right channel. And in August, Huobi Global launched a new token listing page, what is called Huobi Inno Hub. It means that we see products that has high potential, but also high potential, high opportunity with high risks. So we want to be able to educate our users. We see the needs, trading needs from the community, and want to list those tokens. But because DeFi is still early and we don't know how it's gonna go, just like the ICO craze in 2017, we want to be able to warn our users, but still offer them these chances to trade those tokens. And DeFi tokens like Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi 2 were the first tokens to land in the Huobi Hub. And the DeFi mining is a very interesting topic for 2020. DeFi is developing as a rapid space with dramatic changes as a type of new layouts in digital finance. And many expect DeFi to become the fundamental of a worldwide open finance system, and to give birth to a number of great products and with this just huge wealth opportunities. So we also started a DeFi liquidity campaign. Huobi Global has kicked off with $5 million worth of blockchain assets for DeFi liquidity mining, and more rounds will be held with a total of $10 million worth of blockchain assets, and rewards generated from DeFi liquidity mining will be distributed to all participate users who stake HT, and HPT is our Huobi Pool token. We're also seeing, institutional investors get much more serious about compliance and regulation. That's another trend, both in the assets they trade and the platform in which they trade on. So part of this is driven by the interest of traditional institutions that have more, strict requirements for where and what they trade. So it's also due to the fact that digital assets becoming more, permanent in every market. So regulators have stepping up to their efforts to classify and regulating digital assets.
For sure, good stuff there. DeFi certainly the trend of today. It's been funny to see how some of the kind of DeFi products have life cycles of a week to 24 hours. So it's been kind of wild to see the turnover on those. And then kind of thanks for all that kind of color on how you all think about kind of different global markets and kind of global business strategy at Huobi. Kind of on the competitive landscape of y'all sit in a pretty competitive field here. exchanges kind of being, you know, what you started with, but now you kind of play in a bunch of different buckets, as mentioned. Can you talk about how kind of y'all think about the competition? Maybe first on kind of the exchange side. So, you know, there are a ton of digital asset native exchanges, Huobi being one of the first in China, obviously. How do you think about kind of that set of competitors versus legacy finance and like the next 10 years of that, I guess? Talk a little bit about how you think about it.
Yeah, so there are many digital assets exchanges on the market, but not many can really compete with us on the fundamentals like security, reliability, and compliance. So these are really the three key points of our exchange that we believe makes Huobi a far better option than, you know, many of the other exchanges out there. For example, despite heavy, you know, concurrent trading volume on several, you know, occasions recently, our exchange have been able to provide uninterrupted services while, you know, other exchanges faced that outages. This is because we spend a lot of time and resources to improving our backend of the platform to ensure that we can provide a very reliable trading experiences. So we're very proud that our exchange hasn't experienced any major hack or just the system downtime and kept a record of zero clawback during extremely volatile moments when there are a large number of concurrent users. We've been able to maintain the uptime, unlike, you know, some of the other exchanges, because we've invested heavily into our backend infrastructure. With the 1,600 people, our chief security officer managed more than 200 people, and there are 600 to 700 tech people that's been working, you know, 24/7 on different time zone to ensure that our system can always run safe and secure. And in the 7 years of the time that we've been around, we've never been affected by a major security breach. So that's the plan. We want to keep it that way. And because, you know, if it doesn't really matter how well your business model is, or it doesn't really matter how much money you make, if you just lose thousands of Bitcoin every year, is not sustainable, and it's really frustrated. It's really frustrating to your users, and I don't think those exchanges can be trusted whatsoever. And even as we see record trading volume and user activity, will continue to prioritize our user safety. And like we said, we have, you know, 700 in-house developer to maintain a network to ensure user safety. And without naming anyone, there are competitors who deploy, you know, questionable user acquisition techniques and operate in gray areas as it relates to regulations. But we don't believe that's sustainable long term. First and foremost, we view ourselves as a financial organization, so we don't take compliance lightly. We're building for, you know, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years into the future, and we are making sure we do everything the right way, even if that means that it takes us a little longer to enter into a market or offer new services. The same can't be said about some of the other exchanges, though. And because crypto is still it's a very new and very young industry with so much opportunity for growth. We actually see legacy finance as the bigger competitor. Many traditional financial institutions have for, you know, too long held the advantage over their customers because of the high barriers to enter. But digital assets are completely, you know, transforming the concept of money, and people no longer have to, you know, be beholden to larger financial institutions or government-backed fiat currencies. There is a revolution starting, and we see ourselves at the forefront of the new digital economy.
All right, the revolution. Agree with you on all that. So good stuff. Back to maybe some of your kind of internal processes a little bit as you take part in this revolution. So I think especially kind of recently, Huobi's had a history of launching products in the competitive fields and having pretty quick success. You mentioned the perpetual swap kind of volumes that y'all have seen. The mining pool comes to mind. Can you talk a little bit about how kind of operationally you attack those kind of new segments, and how kind of behind the scenes that success actually happens?
Yeah, so one thing that we're really proud is the diversity of products we offer, which aims to make crypto more accessible to all levels of users. So from first-time traders to experienced institutional investors, part of what makes this possible is the way in which our organization operates. And like many other crypto companies, built much more like a traditional financial institution with set processes to ensure regulatory compliance and the highest level of security. And accountability is important to us. So everything gets documented properly, and we undergo regular audits across different departments. And however, when it comes to product, we operate much more like a startup. We are a 1,600 people organization, but we work in like a lean and a very young and fast changing environment, and welcomes new ideas and encourage collaboration. And it's like the same with our management team. We always set our strategy together. Is not like our founder Leon just make up the call and say, hey, we're gonna do that this way. Every time we make new strategies, company-wide strategies, we always sit down, all of our management team, and we make it together, and we take ideas from different people very seriously, and we can take a product idea, from idea to launch in a much shorter time than many of our competitors. So which means that we're able to respond quicker to market changes and user demand. And ideas for new products can came from anywhere. Like our users, we always listen to our community. We run survey all the time. We're always in the community. Like me personally, I'm always on Twitter, almost too talkative, and in Telegram groups, always talking to our users. Even when we take caps, when we talk about digital currency and they are Huobi users, I'll talk to them. Team members, ecosystem partners, and we move fast once we've successfully sold the idea internally. So from here, we conduct quite a bit of market research, determining the possibility of a product which includes user survey, market analysis, legal due diligence, and much more. So for example, we recently launched a crypto saving product that allows users to earn interest on their crypto holdings. So interest is paid out daily to users' crypto saving accounts with support for real-time settlement. The initial idea was first assessed through a survey of nearly 500 users to better understand their needs and wants. So what we found is that most crypto holders are looking for interest-bearing investment vehicles to park their assets. So we knew crypto savings was the right approach, and the foundings informed many of our decisions as we developed the product. So taking a product to market can vary depending on what it is. But in this case, it was very straightforward since we extended this to our existing trading community of millions of users. And we found that this product is particularly appealing to first-time and newbies to crypto users, and as a good point into trading. So it fits nicely with Huobi's ecosystem. And the product is currently in public data, but we're labeling signups so we can closely monitor it and ensure it delivers on our users' expectations before we open up to everyone. But this is our test, learn, and iterate approach to new product launches. And we've also been quite successful with these new products because we've built a diverse ecosystem of key business units like Huobi Global for spot markets, futures for derivatives market, Huobi Pool for mining, wallet for user-facing wallet, and much more. And our business units cover just about every blockchain and crypto sector imaginable. So in China, we have Huobi China. It offers blockchain solutions and technology supporting and consulting to blockchain related business. So there are just lots of synergy we can leverage when we introduce new products.
Yeah, and thanks for kind of going specifically into that settings product. Interesting to hear. How big is that? You mentioned kind of the brain trust that's sitting around and discussing things before new initiatives get launched. How big is that kind of group of people in that room at Huobi? How big is that kind of management team, I guess, as a part of that 1,600 total?
Yeah, it depends on what type of things that we talk about. but usually it's like 10 to 15 people, sometimes go up to like 30, 35.
Cool.
Yeah, and you know, our management quarterly meetings and monthly meetings will be more than that.
Yeah, cool. And you know, you are active on Twitter and Telegram. I think your cat is pretty famous on Twitter too. How's the cat?
Yeah, they're
well?
lovely. Yeah, I just crazy about cats.
All right, good deal. Kind of another, I don't know if it's a trend yet, but something that we've seen a little bit of is kind of some of these information services companies, data providers, Coin Market Cap, Blockfolio. We've seen some crypto exchanges make acquisitions on that front. Just wondering how y'all at Huobi are kind of thinking about kind of those data plays, how you think about those acquisitions, and I guess just M&A in the information space, I guess, as an exchange and for Huobi specifically.
Yeah, so I think as private organizations, exchanges are entitled to acquire whoever, you know, they see fit. There are many motivators behind acquisitions, so we don't hold any particular things on, you know, what is a good or a bad acquisition for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Ethics are only a concern when there is a clear, you know, conflict of interest involved. However, it's generally better for the industry if there's some transparency around the acquisition, specifically as it relates to how it changes the dynamics of the newly acquired system or platform. So this is especially true when it comes to information and data management acquisitions, because they can have a material impact on the end users. So for example, when Binance acquired CMC and the ranking system was changed in a way that, you know, appeared to favor the exchange, like, you know, web traffic factor, like how is that even, it's really not a good indicator, because as we know, it's mobile front crypto. A lot of it happens on the app, and for exchanges, because of regulations issues and stuff, you have different domains for different country. I'm not saying that certainly that it was intentional, but it just, I think that if CMC can stay neutral, it's very, very important, and it's definitely gonna be a good thing for the industry. So in this specific case, I believe the industry could benefit from a standardized ranking system, but it would need to be governed by an independent organization with no ties to exchanges when they are ranking exchanges, and exchanges should be able to share their input and make a case for you know, their approach to ranking, like we talked about. You know, fund under management, asset under management is definitely a good way for ranking exchanges, and many more. But the final decision should be made by a you know, independent third party. So there is a lot of data that's mined by companies or already publicly available. So we have to be careful in the way that data is analyzed and used. And data can be manipulated to benefit or harm. And it can offer a facet of transparency. That's why we need a governance of data. So as exchanges grow and digital assets become a mainstay of the new economy, they'll be more closely regulated, which means that there may be more disclosures required or limitations enforced in these type of acquisition, all in the interest of users. And my belief is that anything that's good for users is also good for the entire industry.
Okay, measured. I think I've seen kind of some of your previous interviews. Maybe you've talked about kind of predictions for the exchange space specifically, kind of how that plays out over the next couple of years. Maybe tougher environment for smaller exchanges. We might see some M&A there. How are y'all thinking about M&A on the exchange side? Acquiring smaller exchanges, is that on the radar? How do you think about that?
Yeah, so speaking of smaller exchanges, anyone can start an exchange these days, but it's incredibly hard to scale and to do it in the right way, especially when it, you know, relates to these two factors, liquidity and security. regulatory compliance and stuff. That's why I still believe that we're going to see higher M&A activities in this space over the next year or two. Not only is this good for traders since the overall qualities of options available to them goes up, but also is great for the crypto industry overall at large. And some of the smaller, fly-by-night exchanges give the industry a bad reputation, whether it's because of frequent security incidents, outstages, or liquidity problems. No consolidation will bring more credibility to exchanges, and exciting for Huobi because M&A is only is one of the ways that we can enter markets. And being that regulatory compliance is very central of our business model, it's very crucial that we secure all the proper licenses and approvals before we enter a new market. So more often than not that, this can be quite a long process, but we're willing to on the market. It can be more efficient if we acquire a local exchange that already meets all of the regulatory requirements, which includes all the necessary licenses with local financial agencies and government offices. And we still invest a lot of time and resources for due diligence to ensure that we find the right exchange for this. But this M&A road will help us get to the new markets much quicker than starting from scratch, because entering into a market is so much more than offering a services, just your products in a different language. You have to understand their needs and understand their trading behavior and understand how local economy works and how local people, the community works. You have to be in there and have the roots there and have a localized team there to understand your customer community to offer them the right services. So when looking at an M&A, is not just the licenses that are more important to us. We're also access the team. Team is really important, and their track record, since will lean on their expertise as we localize our product services for the given market. And it's very important to provide a continuity in the quality of experiences users have to expect from Huobi brand, so we don't take M&As lightly. So that said, we are constantly searching for potential acquisitions target as our part of larger global expansion strategy, and we serve users all across the globe. But there are still many markets we want to, we want to enter in a fully compliant way. So this is an ongoing search.
Yeah, for sure. Any more color on kind of countries that you're interested in entering and are just trying to figure out the best way to do it? I know you don't want to share too much on strategy stuff, but.
Yeah, so India is always an interesting market. It's larger population, and there are regulations coming out and rules coming out with crypto, and we always curious to find out what's gonna be next for India. And Korea is a market that we've been around for a few years, and with Huobi Korea, and always trying to top the market there. And UK, where we see a lot of institutional traders there, and South America, a lot of the places. Yeah, just hope this whole pandemic is going to be over soon, so I can fly around again and see local markets.
Go wheels up
to our partners.
Yeah. How important is it to, I mean, how has the, I guess, kind of, we're on Zoom now. How has like the video conferencing stuff worked at Huobi for such a distributed company? And has it slowed you down in terms of obviously meeting people in person in other countries? How's that affected, I guess, your work?
Yeah, so our crypto and blockchain company, we're already like quite like used to new technologies, and we're like really decentralized. The team that I manage are in a lot of different countries, so we're quite familiar with Zoom calls and stuff. But it just with partners, and especially with institutions, I think face-to-face interaction is still very, very important. Yeah. So, well, like I said, really hope this pandemic is over. And yeah, and especially you need to go to those countries and to feel the community there. It's just something that can't be replaced.
Yeah, agree. One thing that's also been interesting to see at Huobi, I guess the kind of founding team, some of that group from 7 years back, hasn't been as, they're well known in China, but they haven't been as public facing to the West. And it seems like you're kind of taking more of a public facing role in the last year. Can you talk a little bit about that? Some of the strategy around that, how you're thinking about, I guess, being more public as a company?
Yeah, so branding is especially important in crypto because it's an industry where trust is very crucial, especially being exchange. People have to trust you in order for them to deposit their assets into an exchange and trust you with holding their assets for trading. So through the Huobi brand, we want to continue strengthening our position as a secure and reliable platform that's trusted by millions of our users globally. So we want Huobi to be trusted. We plan to accomplish this by expanding on much of what we already do, bringing transparency, professionalism through the product and services we provide to user. So there are too many crypto companies that build their brand, around questionable marketing techniques, and we want to be the opposite of that. Prior to my joining, Huobi hasn't done much branding in the Western market, but my goal is to change that. And Huobi is one of the most recognizable names in the Asia Pacific region. But as we continue expanding internationally, we plan to build Huobi into a globally recognized brand. And there's still a lot of work to be done for growing the brand and share our voices and share our vision and share that we want to make things right and we want to listen to the community's voices in the Western market is a priority for us. So I've been, putting a lot of time and on Twitter and on talking to our users community and attending all of the conferences that's available online and taking interviews just so that our users around the world can know who's actually working at this exchange, who's actually be leading global markets, and who are we dealing with. So I think that's very important.
For sure. I'm taking a Friday night here, so practicing what you preach for sure. The last thing, just a fun one. Thanks for laying out all that. I think it was a lot of good context and good kind of detail around how Huobi's thinking about the future and thinking about growth around the world. Last one though, a recommendation. So we close out with a recommendation. It can be food, culture, just something related to, I guess, Beijing, where you are now.
And in Beijing, let's see. Well, try to avoid traffic time for sure. It's gonna save your life.
I think that's probably the most valuable recommendation you can give. Avoid the rush hour.
Yes, and a lot of good restaurants and bars in Sanlitun. That's just tell your taxi driver that name and just go there and you can find everything. And a book, I really like the book When Breast Becomes Air. I cry every time when I read it. And I often read books on my flights, and sometimes it really just scares, the crew members.
I bet, yeah.
When I just keep crying. It's a good book, and it's easy to read too. And well, my final recommendation would be spending more time with your cats.
All right, good stuff.
Just
very on brand.
Cures
final
you.
Recommendation. Good stuff. Spend more time with your cats. Stay out of rush hour, and read books that make you think and feel. Maybe not on airplanes always, but good advice. Well, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.